You may be seated. Worthy is the name of Jesus, right? He calls us. He tells us to love. He tells us to move. He tells us to breathe. He tells us to breathe the Word of God. Oh. As I said a couple weeks ago, I've been approached by many who have something to say from God, who wish to share. Tyrone and I have been back and forth for almost a year now, getting this message ready.
Yep, it's been a long time.
So, I'm very excited to hear what God is speaking through Ty. And I've known Ty had something to say even before he did. God has laid down on my heart, and I really look forward to hearing what he has to say.
Well, to start out with, this all did start a long time ago. And George and I were somewhere, I don't even remember where, and I looked at him and said, "What is love? What's love? It's spring in the air, flowers, birds, but what's love? Love, that's a deep one. Is love a feeling? Is it emotion? In my little book that I picked up, one of the kids had wrote, "I love you." And I didn't even realize this until this morning on my way here. There's many different types of loves. Love is often misconstrued as a need. Boy, I'd love to have an ice cream. Is that love? No, that's a want. That's not what you need. Your vision is to love everything. Everybody, no matter what it is. This is the biggest thing that I think most people have forgot. It's not just a Sunday in a church. Anybody can do a Sunday in a church and say, "Yep, I love God." But if you noticed before, there were 3 words up there on the screen. The very first one was disciple. And what's a disciple? Somebody that steps out of the box, looks around and says, "I need to do this." And that's what you need to do. It may be just sitting down and listening to your own head every once in a while and say, "God, talk to me. Tell me what I'm going to do. Tell me what I'm going to say." Before the service, I sat in here when nobody was here. My head was so confused on everything. And I just looked up there at the stained glass and I said, "God, surround me with your bubble. I'm here for you. Use me in any way you want to." Well, he started that. He's led me to a new life to be a disciple somewhere else in Texas. Now, your parental love, that's an unconditional love. No matter how bad my kids are, and I threaten to beat their apple, almost slipped out, but I love every one of them, and I love my wife. I have an unconditional love for my family. And above my family is God. There's a hierarchy I follow every day. What started me out on this is this little book. I don't even have to look at the date. If anybody wants to challenge me, they can. It says 2014 in this book. It was given to me at a church camp that I went to. They gave me one, and they gave my wife one. Little do most of the people know that gave me this book. I've read this book more than anything else. Times of trouble, times of happiness. And there's another book that I follow. It's Oswald Chambers. It's a guy from the 1700s. He leads you on your life every day and says, you need to work on this. And he gives you chapters out of the Bible. Well, my chapter happened to come up as love. And as a parent, I would do anything to protect my family and my friends. Like I said before, the food, that's not love. That's a want. You know, I'd love to go have a pizza right now, but I got to keep my girlish figure. You know how it goes. I'd like to go have that ice cream, or I'd love to go on a fishing trip, and all these other things that everybody just loves. Are they really just love, or are they needs? I don't know. That's in your mind. You've got to set your hierarchy. My hierarchy starts with God. Every morning it starts and ends with God. Then comes my family. That's my hierarchy. Then comes my friends and people I meet that I get to pass the word on to everybody else. It's not easy stepping out of that box. Most of you don't know, I used to be the vice president of a biker gang. I used to be one of the most mean people you'd ever want to meet. If you'd have put me in a room and said, you're going to be up in front of a church preaching, I would have laughed at your face. I would have laughed at you so hard, I'd have gone and have a beer, laughing. Now, the unconditional love is something that was said in Genesis, which happened to be one of the very first times that love was mentioned. It's Genesis 22:2. He was talking to Abraham. And he says, then he said, take now your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains, of which I shall tell you. Now, he loves that son more than anything else in the world. His only son. But he has to follow God. And that follows in that hierarchy. God said, you must take your son and sacrifice him at the mountain. Well, I got to do what God said. Come on, let's go. He thought about it the whole way. Didn't know what he was going to do. And right before the time it was to sacrifice him, God says no. He was not to be sacrificed. God stopped at the last minute saying, now I know your fear of God. Now can you imagine taking one of your kids the whole way down to, let's say Arkansas or something, because you know you're going to put that child to death? Only to get there because you're following God, and God says, now I know you fear God. God's the most powerful thing out there. I don't care what anybody else says, God is so powerful, it's unbelievable. When I was sitting here listening to some of these songs, it was like there was an electricity going through my body. It's saying, you got to get up there, you got to tell your side of the story. My side of the story is not really that exciting. It's God's story. And in the Bible, this one right here, the word love is mentioned 310 times. 280 verses. How many people understand love? It's confusing. It's very confusing. Now, if we keep on going with the love theory and the wants and all that, you never get to the real important stuff. You got to get out there and give his love. Let his love shine through you. I'm not a person of money. I will give my money away anytime if it makes somebody happy or it can lead somebody else somewhere else. I've never been brought up around money. I've been poor all my life. And I'm still one of the richest people in the world. I may not have a dime to my name at times, but I have a family that loves me. I have a church that I can go to and talk to at any time. And that means a lot. When your parents die and you feel like you have no one to talk to, sit right where you are. Look up at that stained glass and just remember, right here is where your love starts. You have to finish the tale. If you sit here on Sunday and say, I love God, and don't do anything about it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, you didn't get the message at all. You didn't go out and make somebody else's day. Which brings me to my motto. My motto is, you cannot do anything about yesterday except say, I'm sorry. That's it. It's over. I made you mad. I'm sorry. That's all you can do. Yesterday's gone. You get on with today. You can't predict tomorrow. You just left that all in God's hands. Tomorrow is all God's hands. He's going to lead you where you need to go, but you got to listen to him. You can't just sit there and say, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do this. You got to actually open your mind and listen. Which leads us to another thing. Paths. Come here, kids. Hi. Come here. Well, this is my brew right here. Go ahead, Sissy. You start. Tegan, you go. Time, hustle. They're taking 3 different paths right now. 3 different paths that don't interfere with anything else. But what is the end outcome? They all met at the same spot. Every one of you have a different path in life. Sometimes they may bump into each other. You guys can go sit down. Sometimes you go and get into conflict, but you got to leave it go, no matter what. I wouldn't have been able to step into a church if I didn't let conflict go. I found out that I love God and I love the people more than I love the conflict. That wouldn't have been me 20 years ago, guaranteed. I love that conflict, but I wasn't what I am now. You can ask my wife, I've completely changed. A few years ago, we had a hardship. I went to stay with a friend of mine, which George got to meet. His name's Jeffrey. He's one of the most awesome people I know. He sat there and drilled into me what I was doing wrong. And I sat there and listened because he was my oldest friend that I've known since we've been 10 years old. He started me out on a path that led me back to this. I was diagnosed a few years ago, only having 2 years to live. That 2 years was ended up on November 10th. I praise God. His love for me is keeping me going today. Because my message isn't across to who he wants me to get it to. I was telling George a story earlier about love. Every lunchtime, I sit down in Texas with a bunch of illegals from Mexico and a bunch of other people. And every time I take my cross out of my shirt at lunchtime, I kiss my cross because that's my mom and God. You can never forgive anything as much as God has forgiven me. There's been times when I've questioned him, which I had no right to do, because everything is in his time, his love. He put me through an awful lot. But you know, it's led me to being what I am right now. I'm afraid of God. I can actually say that's the only person out there that I'm afraid of right now, is God. He loves me so much, he protects me so much, and he leads me in the proper direction. My mom was supposed to die on my birthday. She held on for 10 days after my birthday. The doctors told me the day she died that they don't know how she stayed alive. But at one point in time through that summer, she promised me that she would not die on my birthday. We joked about it all summer long. She didn't die on that day. It was 10 days later. They don't know how she stayed alive. It was her love of God that kept her alive. There's no doubt in my mind. And I keep that with me all the time. If I lose my cross, I panic. Ask me, I carry an extra cross in my bag all the time. That's my mom and that's God. That's two things I can't forget. Two of the most important things. Now, when you go out today, I completely blew off my script. I mean, because I told them, just leave me in what to say. Mother's Day is coming up. Anybody that's a mother or planning on being, love your children. Love them more than anything. You're the only thing that they have to come back to. You're what's leading them to be who they are, what they are. It's the love in your heart that's going to lead that little child, like my mom, to be a big old bald-headed guy up in front of the church talking about love. I couldn't think of a better way to honor my mom and honor God. But to stand up here today and be able to tell you how much everyone out there means to me. It's rough. I'm holding back the tears right now because there's a lot of people in this. But that doesn't mean I don't love you in my heart.
Bring up camp thing.
Yep.
Over the last 2 years, we've shared a lot of memories, a lot of hardship. I mean, some of the things we've been through, some of the
Tribulation.
the conflicts that we've had. I love my brother. I do. We've had our ups and downs, we've had our arguments, but we still love each other. And I thank you for bringing the message, bringing the word this morning. Now the challenge. Ty spoke of unconditional love. It's a love that God gives each and every one of us. No matter what we do, He loves us. No matter how far we wander, He loves us. Spoke a few weeks ago about grace. How much grace, how much love are you giving those that have done something against you, have hurt you? Are you giving them grace or are you still giving them grief? No matter what we go through, no matter what happens in our life, show the love of Christ. And not the anger and the hate of Satan. Because when we let that anger in, Satan gets a foothold. Lord, we come to you this morning, and I ask you to touch our hearts. I ask you to fill our hearts with the love that only you can give. The love that you gave Christ, that He went and sacrificed Himself for us. Give us that same love so that we can lay down our lives for those that we love. Father, that is a love that we want to share. A love that you have given us freely, so give us the strength to share it freely. Let us not just hold it in to the family members that are in our house. Let us give it to all of our family, all those who walk and talk and breathe your word. Our family of Christ. Those that have come to you and believe, let us be willing to give to them. And let it go beyond them, Lord. Because you died for all, let us be able to sacrifice all that we are for all. If need be, let us be able to follow you straight to the cross and sacrifice our own lives for you. Father, we ask this in the name of Christ. Amen.